Okay, what do all of these six pairings of zodiac signs have in common? Maybe the answer is obvious, or maybe it will surprise you. This is a different way of categorizing the signs that I actually find very interesting and very insightful. It's one of many, of course, different ways of categorizing them. But the answer is, I don't know if I can like resize this. This is gonna be a messy video. There, that works. So yeah, each of these pairings has the same amount of light, and that's true in the northern or southern hemisphere. But of course, it's going to be flipped over if you're in the southern hemisphere. In the south, Capricorn and Sagittarius will have the most light. Gemini and Cancer will be the darkest. But the reason why this is significant is because it does give you insights on the signs. Like, for example, when I covered the compatibility of Aries and Virgo, I got a lot of comments disagreeing with my take because my take was Aries and Virgo have nothing in common, right? They're different elements, different modes, different polarities, different seasons. They're quincunx. There's just nothing in common. However, this points to a commonality, and it explains why I had so many comments talking about different experiences or different perspectives on, Aries and Virgo do have a connection. There are a lot of Aries Virgo couples, at least with sun signs. And so this could explain part of the reason why. I've also noticed a lot of couples, like Gemini Cancer couples, for example, or Aquarius Scorpio couples in particular as well, even Pisces Libra as well. So why, what is the connection? I think it kind of varies, depending on what part of the year we're talking about. Gemini and Cancer are the signs clustered right around the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. And, like I've said, there is often an attraction between Gemini and Cancer. They are, of course, very different signs. Gemini is one of the least emotional signs, Cancer is one of the most emotional. But they both seem to share a need for like humor. So I don't know why. I don't know if humor is associated with the light. Probably not, because Sagittarius is on the other end of the spectrum. But both Gemini and Cancer are focused on very basic themes. So Gemini is focused on thoughts, Cancer is focused on feelings. It doesn't get much more basic than that. Of course, thoughts and feelings can be complex, but as a theme in its entirety, I would say that they're more basic. So I think when there's more light, there tends to be like everything is kind of already seen, so it gives us a lot to digest. Versus the signs that are more darker, I think tend to be more abstract. We can actually draw a line halfway through this image, and this white line represents the basically the equinoxes, so both the spring and fall equinoxes. And this is another interesting way to categorize the signs. All the signs at the top have more light than darkness. All the signs at the bottom have more darkness than light. And maybe you can come up with like different commonalities that the signs on each side of this line have. But one that I see is that I think the signs at the top of the top half of this chart, I think the signs tend to be more literal and more direct, a little bit more simplistic, versus all the signs at the bottom tend to be a little bit more abstract, more kind of philosophical. I think they're more aware of like different perspectives and things like that. If we go all the way to the darkest side of this chart, Capricorn and Sagittarius, and even to some extent Aquarius and Scorpio, I think all of these signs are very focused on like projecting, thinking about the far future or thinking about very expansive concepts, even Pisces and Libra as well. Versus the farther up you go, I think Gemini and Cancer are much more focused on the immediate surroundings, the immediate vicinity, the immediate present, if that makes sense, and maybe the very near future and the very near past. Versus Capricorn and Sagittarius are thinking very far into the future, maybe sometimes very far into the past as well. Aquarius is, of course, very future oriented, and even Scorpio is very focused on planning as well. But yeah, this does get really interesting. If we look at the signs right around the equinoxes, there's this huge difference either barely on the light side of the equinox versus just on the dark side. So for instance, Aries and Virgo are on the lighter side, and although they are very very different, I think both Aries and Virgo are very direct and they're very action oriented. They're very focused on either problem solving or just like if there's some kind of desire or some kind of need, let's go do it, let's do something about it. It's very decisive and action oriented. Versus on the other side of the equinox, Pisces and Libra, I think are the opposite. They're not quite as like crisp and black and white as Aries and Virgo. Pisces and Libra are much less direct. They're some of the least direct signs, and they're more kind of looking at everything in a more kind of glossy, like soft sort of way. Rather than having these hard edges that Aries and Virgo have, let's kind of soften everything with Pisces and Libra. But I think that's indicative of, is there more light or is there less light? Even though there's a similar amount of light with these signs, just tuning that light on the dark side versus the light side makes a big difference. Dark side is not going to be as focused on these gritty little details like Aries and Virgo are. It's going to be a lot softer, more broad strokes, and again, thinking about like lofty archetypes. But anyway, I just thought this was interesting, so let me know your thoughts on this. I really wanted to cover this because I haven't seen any other videos or articles talking about this idea. But let me know your thoughts. One last thing I'll say is you can definitely also compare Taurus and Leo. I think have a lot in common. They're very well accepted, very popular, very confident. And then even on the flip side, Aquarius and Scorpio are both very counterculture. They have a lot in common as well. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. But yeah, I hope this was interesting. Hope it might help you kind of just have another filter to thinking about astrology.